Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very, very much for coming tonight, and I know it's not particularly pleasant out there, so we really do appreciate you giving up your time this evening. It doesn't seem like yesterday when I was sat or stood even in front of you all, and we were welcoming our students as they were beginning their journey at St Mary's, and time has absolutely flown. And I've got to say that I am so proud of our Year 9s. I love coming to work every day and working with our students because we've got such a fantastic bunch of students in Year 9 that I do feel really, really privileged to be their year head. And this is such an exciting time, and I'm really, really pleased that everybody could make it tonight, so thank you. We've already had lots and lots of success so far at St Mary's with our students. But now this is absolutely crucial that we make sure that our students are making the right choices as they progress into Key Stage 4. And with our students in Year 9 in particular, there is such a wide range of talents and gifts amongst our students, and they are going to find it very, very difficult to make their choices. And that's why we're not expecting the choices to be made tonight, but it's most certainly about gathering information today, speaking to subject teachers, and just finding out a little bit about what is in store at Key Stage 4. And I am really, really excited about it because I know that 2018 will be the best year that St Mary's has ever had. I know that this year group in particular has got massive potential, and I am expecting our year group to break records. And the students that are sat in front of us today will know that I talk about this in assembly all of the time because I know the potential that is in this room. And we are, as a school, committed to getting the best out of our students, the very, very best. And I know that by working in partnership with our parents, we will get the best out of our students. And tonight is about making sure, as I've said, that they're on the right pathway so that in 2018 they will be successful. That's exactly what we want. Now, part of my role this year has changed a little bit because I've been working in partnership with Mrs Marshall, who's just sat on my right-hand side. Mrs Marshall is the Year 9 Progress and Aspiration Coach, and the Progress and Aspiration Coaches were brought in this year. And part of their role is to help students to think about the future and where they want to be in 5, 10, 15 years' time, but most importantly, how they are going to get there. And Mrs Marshall's job is to sit down with our students on a one-to-one basis and to help them to think about their aspirations and their dreams. And Mrs Marshall is helping our students to make those dreams become a reality. And that's why she is here, and we're privileged to have her as part of our team. I'll speak to you at the end of the presentation this evening, but once again I do thank you for coming, and I really look forward to the conversations that we're going to have in the future about where our students are going to be in 5 and 10 years' time. I'm going to hand you over to our head teacher, Mr Boyle. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Ms Lamb. Again, I just say good evening and thank you. I know there are lots of familiar faces in terms of parents, and one of the things I always say to parents is that every child is special, and if you have more than one child in a family, that they're different and they may have different needs and different choices, different strengths, and those sort of things. And tonight is one of those evenings, or this year really, when we get that sense of what St Mary's has to offer, because one of the concerns that people have in choosing a very big school is, first of all, will my child be known? And I think, the quality of care that Miss Lamb and her team give, is crucial as part of that. But this year, I think, is always an exciting time because it's one of those times when we see what the benefits are of being in a very big school, because what we do get is a very big choice, a very big range of options. And I would say in many cases, as Miss said, students spoiled for choice. So it's crucial, really, that we think about some key things that are going to inform those choices. But it is an exciting thing because we have got such a vast array of courses that we can offer to students, and that's a great strength. But also, I think what's crucial at this point is that even for parents who've been maybe through the process before, have had older children going through maybe GCSEs and so on, and maybe even going through GCSEs currently in years 10 and 11, one of the things that I think you go away from this evening perhaps clear about is that, as with lots of things in education, things are changing, and our children in Year 9 in particular are affected significantly by the changes that are taking place. And some parents think will have questions about that. What does it mean, Mr. Boyle? It's not the same. I may be familiar with A stars to G at GCSE and those kind of qualifications. Isn't there something changing? Well, one of the challenges I've given to Mr. Brown is to make that really clear. First of all, what's available to students in terms of the options that we have and how that works, but also for parents, what it will mean in terms of the kind of qualifications and the changes to qualifications that are happening at the moment. So, Mr. Brown, I'm going to pass you over to him. That's the challenge, Mr. Brown, I'm giving you. Parents and students need to leave here this evening informed as to what the choices are and how many choices they've got and what they might look like, but also really what those qualifications will be like in terms of maybe numbers as well as grades and so on. So that's the challenge, Mr. Brown. Over to you.
Not a problem, Mr. Boyle, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, thank you for that warm welcome. Don't you love it when you come to presentations like this and somebody gets up in front of you and they say, I'm not going to speak for very long. And you kind of sigh, you think, great. Well, this isn't one of those moments, I'm afraid. Because there's lots of information, there's lots to say, and there's lots to think about. So I want to try and cover an awful lot of material in the next 10-15 minutes or so, which will help us to where we need to be in a few years' time. I always like to start by going back to our mission statement, which is to love and serve Christ within us all, because that is at the heart of everything that we do. And we serve our students best, particularly at this time, when we give them the options that are appropriate to them in order for them to be successful. And one of the phrases that we use often is that we strive for excellence. And as a school, we won't stop until we achieve excellence in every area. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for in 2 years' time for your child to succeed. In 4 years' time, your child to succeed. And we can say with great confidence that is going to happen. And one of the reasons we say that is when we look back at the outcomes, even just of last summer. We look back at some of the achievements of some of our Year 11 students, and that will be you in 2 years' time. These are some of the achievements and some of the grades that our students achieved last year. And by any standard, they are fantastic. Going into sixth form, into Year 13, again, same picture. Students do really well here at St Mary's. You'll have seen the banner outside of the front of school. We have the best A-level results for maintained schools in Wirral. And we state that because it's true. That's how good we are. And at sixth form level particularly, you compare us to other schools and we outperform the other schools. That will be your child in 4 years' time. So what we're looking for is to make sure that over the next 4 years we get to where we want to be so that your child can be as successful as these students. When we talk about options is kind of a bit of a misleading word, we think. What we should be thinking about really is pathways. A pathway that begins now for the next couple of years, again, which will take you into sixth form and then to wherever you want to go after that. But at this point, we want to be selecting the right subjects to enable your child to be successful. And there's a number of different pathways and a number of different subjects that your child should be thinking about in order to get there. Things are changing, as Mr. Boyle says. Times are changing, GCSEs are changing, and the headlines are here. So what we're moving towards, and what your child is moving towards in a couple of years' time, is lots of exams. Exams are becoming more and more important. Coursework and controlled assessment, which kind of used to lead towards GCSEs, are becoming far less important. And in many subjects, there won't be any coursework and there won't be any controlled assessments. So it is going to be getting a little bit harder. Also, the government wants these subjects to be a little bit harder as well. So again, they've changed the syllabuses, they've changed the specs to make subjects harder for students. And that is nationally, around the whole of the country, that is what is happening. And the third message is that English and maths remain really, really important. And to achieve an English and maths at grade C, GCSE, is going to be vital. Because what that will do, that will open doors in 2 years' time for your child, or it will close doors. And what we want to do is to make sure that it opens doors for them. Being successful at English and maths is going to be really important. And therefore, what you'll be finding in the next couple of years is support that is going to be there to enable to make sure that that does happen. The gradings at GCSE are also changing. Now we're used to using A star to G kind of language. That will not be the case, particularly for your children. We're moving towards now a 1 to 9 system rather than an A star to G system. Probably the easiest way to think about this is we kind of talk in terms of C grades, don't we? I think we kind of get what we mean by that. The equivalent will probably be the grade 4 in the new kind of language that we're going to be using. So that's kind of what we're looking for, which will be classed as a good pass. But there's also some subjects that may just sustain and keep the A star to G for another year or so until everything moves towards that. So there could be a mix of A star to G and 1 to 9. So it is all changing, and that's the world that we're moving into. That's the world that education is moving into nationally. So again, that's what we need to be aware of. I think the headline, the thing to remember about that is, think about, particularly in the number system, think about 4s and better is what you want your child to achieve. So even before we start talking about subjects and what's available, what's going to be the employment market in 3, 4, 5, 6 years' time? What are the areas, what are the industries that are growing, which your child is going to go into and is going to contribute to in the future? And it's we need to be very conscious of how things are changing, because we don't want particularly to be going down one direction and then in 4 or 5 years' time that the jobs are not available for them. And there's some quite interesting things that are kind of out there at the moment. And this is one of them. What they say is by the time that Year 9 learners, so your children get the age of 40, that they'll change their jobs about 14 times. Now, some of us have probably been in the job that once we left school and we got into our job or our occupation, we've kind of just been in that throughout the whole of our lives. I certainly have. And what they're saying now is that because the job market is changing, jobs are going to change as well. And that should have an impact on how we think about what jobs are out there and how we're going to address those as well. So what are going to be the areas that people are predicting are going to be popular in the future? Computer science is certainly one of those areas. Data scientists, those kinds of things, people are saying is a real growing, booming industry at the moment. Engineers, healthcare specialists, customer service, those are the areas that we're being told by our careers advisors are the growth areas, particularly around this area. You may know something about the low carbon economy, which has got the potential to create 7,000 new jobs by the end of 2016, that we are told. Also the visitor economy. You recognise that picture? Again, what they're saying to us is that this has the potential to grow 60% by 2020, which will mean 14,000 new jobs being created in this area for that. The growth of the superport, again, in the world. What it says is, this expansion is about to create something around 26,000 jobs. They are the growth areas. They are the areas which will be there, which our children will be moving into in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. And so to be aware of those. And it's really the top line of the next slide, which is what we're trying to emphasise here. The idea of having a job for life really isn't the way that people are thinking in the world of work anymore. What they're actually talking about, if you actually have a look at job adverts, they're using these kinds of words. They're using skills words. They're looking for people to be skilled at those things. They want them to be good communicators. They want them to be organised, etc., etc. And therefore, in the choice of subjects, these are the skills also that we need to be thinking about and developing. So, having said all of that, what is the curriculum going to look like? So what will your child be studying in September? Some of that is already prescribed, and there is an element of choice which I'll come to in a minute. All students will study RE as being a Catholic school up to GCSE. All students will study English language and English literature. They'll study maths and they'll study science. And that will give them the equivalent of 6 GCSEs. All students will also have an experience of PSHE and PE, which are not necessarily examined at the end of the course. So what does that mean in relation to science? All students will do 2 sciences, which will include physics, chemistry and biology. Although it's 3 subjects, it will give you 2 qualifications at the end of year 11. And the majority of students will study that. For the good scientists, for the students who really enjoy science, who are good at science, there's an option of actually doing separate sciences. Actually studying physics, chemistry and biology as 3 separate GCSEs. If your child is one of those students, they will already be having conversations with our science department to point them into that direction. And if that is appropriate for you, that is the choice, the thing that you should be thinking about. For modern foreign languages, the choice in modern foreign languages is either French or German. It would be the one that you studied from year 7. There is an option for any students who are really good linguists and really enjoy language and really flourish at language to actually pick up the second language going into year 10. Again, that is an option for some students. They should talk to the language teachers again about whether or not you fall into that category. We now get to the business end as to what that is going to look like. There are two main option pathways. You may have heard about the EBAC. It's quite out there publicly and it's on the news, etc. And people talk about the EBAC. The EBAC is just a group of subjects that the government would like a number of students to study. It says so across the bottom. And in order to get the EBAC, again it's achieving C in these qualifications. It doesn't appear as a separate qualification or a certificate or anything like that at all. It's just a group of subjects that they call EBAC. This will be suitable for some students. And for the last couple of years, people ask us the question, how important is this going to be? And the answer this year is the same as it's been in previous years. We don't actually know whether it's going to have a massive impact on what happens within the future. We just don't know that. Therefore, it is there as an option for some students. And it is appropriate for some students. We've identified who we think those students are. And you will have received a letter which asks you to think about EBAC. Those students have had a special assembly to explain what all of this means. But if you are an EBAC student, this is what it will mean. If you look down the left-hand side first of all, again, you'll study those subjects. So it's 2 Englishes, maths, 2 sciences and RE. You then have to study either French or German. And also you have to study either history or geography. If you do that, that will just leave you with one other options choice. If you are a separate scientist and you want to do science and you're on the EBAC pathway, you won't be able to opt into any other of the option subjects that are available. which you could see as the downside of this pathway. There's a second pathway which I just call a GCSE pathway, and this is what this one will look like. Again, all students, you've got 2 Englishes, Maths, 2 Science and RE. So they are what all students have to study. As well as that, you have to choose one of the following from that middle block there. So just one of those as a compulsory subject. So that would be French or German, or history, or geography, or separate science, or computer science. So choosing one of those, and then in addition to that, you can then have 2 other options choices. So you see how it's quite interesting that we actually call this evening an options evening. And there aren't actually too many options that you can actually choose. A lot of the curriculum is actually prescribed already. So when we're talking about the option subjects, what are the option subjects? These are the option subjects that you should be thinking about. It's worth taking a minute just thinking about them. You've got art and textiles there, business studies, dance, DT food, DT resistant materials, engineering, health and social care, child's play, French, geography, German, history, music, computer science, IT, PE, separate sciences, drama, media studies, hairdressing or beauty therapy. So as you can see, there's a really good wide variety of choices there for the students to think about. And tonight, it's really finding out about some of these subjects particularly and what the demands are going to be at GCSE. So how do you choose your subjects? Well, if you enjoy a subject, the chances are you're going to be successful at it. So think about the subjects that you enjoy. Think about the subjects that you're good at. You're more likely to be successful if you're good at them. Any career plans for the future? Choosing the subject might help you towards that career pathway. But the advice really is keep your options open. Don't try and necessarily specialise into 1 or 2 areas. Because as we've said all along, it's about developing skills as well as subject content. And in many ways, the skills are becoming more and more important rather than the subject content. Why should you not make a decision? Number 1, every year is because your friends are doing it. Students like to choose subjects if their friends are doing it. I can understand that. I can understand that completely. But your friends have got different skills to you. They are not you. They are different. You have to choose what is appropriate for you. And don't necessarily let your friends decide for you what you're going to do. You might want to try to avoid a teacher or be taught by a particular teacher. So that's just not going to work, is it? Because I'm going to have about 250 students in my RE class if that happens. And that's never going to work, is it? You should be looking at a subject rather than a teacher because nobody knows who's going to be teaching who next year anyway. So if you want to be taught by a teacher because they're in a subject area, it may not happen. That will only be determined when the timetables come out in September. Bad choice. Subjects looks easy. I'll do that one because that's easy. How hard can PE be? Some people might say, not me, but some people might say that. There's no such thing as an easy option. No such thing as an easy option. All subjects are difficult and have their own different challenges. So again, bad choice of making a decision. You might want to do something different. You might fancy a little bit of business studies. But if you don't know what it's all about, it might not be what you want it to be. You also might be feeling pressured by your families or by your teachers into choosing a particular subject. Ultimately, you're the one who's going to have to study it. So again, think about what it is particularly that you want to do. And don't just fill in an options form and hand it in with anything, because that's just not going to work, is it? So we need to make sure that this process is right, so that the skills are developed, so that in 4 years' time, 2 years' time, 4 years' time, your child is as successful as the students who are currently leaving St Mary's. I'd now like to hand you over now back to Miss Lamb, who's going to explain again about what's going to happen from here and what's going to be happening tonight as you leave.
We've given you quite a lot of information tonight, I realise that, and we don't expect all of your questions to be answered in this one evening. So, by all means, if you do have any questions at the end, Mrs. Marshall and I will be around, okay? There's lots of other people who can help, and if we don't get everything done tonight, please feel free to contact us at school at any time, and we can arrange to either meet up or we can talk over the phone. Just a reminder about some important dates that are coming up. Obviously tonight is options evening, which is our first taste about what the subjects entail. Next week will be guidance week, where Mrs. Marshall, myself and a few other members of staff will meet with students on a one-to-one basis just to talk to them about what they are thinking, to check whether that pathway is appropriate for them. That process has already started and will continue next week and the following week as well. Option forms will be issued on Monday. Please don't rush them. It's a difficult choice to make, I know, so please take your time, have a discussion with parents and teachers, and then we would like those to be in by Monday the 8th of February, which is the following Monday. So it's a good week to have a think about it. Following on from that, in March, there will be further guidance meetings. So Mrs. Marshall, myself and Mrs. Brown will look at the options forms, see what we think, and just make sure that we think that students are on the right pathway that is going to give them the most success. So those meetings will take place in March time. Moving on into the summer term, that will be the start of the GCSE courses. So I know our Year 9s in front of us might be a little bit scared about that, but we need to get ready, we need to start. So that will be in the summer term. So that will be the start of our GCSE wear, okay? And then the choices will be finalised in that summer term, and we will contact parents via letter just to confirm those choices. So that will be all ready to go. Okay. Just moving on, there are some additional people who will be here to support you tonight. There is the school SENCO, who will be based in one of the rooms just along the side, where you can meet with Mrs. Todd will be meeting tonight. So if you need any advice there, she will be available. We've also got our careers advisor, who is based in the careers office, if you need any specialist advice to do with a particular career. We've got refreshments in the canteen, always a good place to go. And then tonight really is just about going around, gathering information, just to make sure that you have everything you need to make the appropriate choices. Again, please contact our school if you have any further questions. And I'd just like to leave our students with a really important message. I know I've said this already tonight, but we as staff at St Mary's College will work with your parents to get the best out of you. Because like Mr Brown said before, we are striving for excellence. We don't want second best. We know that you're in competition for jobs against other students in other schools across the whole country. We want the very best. You as a year group are so talented that we will not accept second best. We expect to break records in 2018, and it's up to you to go away and achieve that. So thank you very much for listening tonight. Enjoy your evening. Please feel free to use the 2 exit doors at the sides and the 2 at the back. Thanks very much.